That's fantastic.
Just read behind my head.
And she's 2 months now?
Almost, yeah. This week
Almost
she'll be 2 months.
26. Oh, in 3 days. Oh, amazing.
Here, baby.
How is she sleeping? Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, she's a great little baby. We're just thrilled. She's wonderful.
Oh, I love you, Bo. You're so amazing. Oh,
Yes, I love my bows.
thank you. And she's not sleepy, she's curious, looking around, looking at the
Yeah.
where's
Come and
Daddy? Where's
goes.
Daddy go?
Cutie pie.
Oh, wonderful. I hope you guys get enough rest with her because I know it
We're
might
getting there. We're getting there. You get lots of rest.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for agreeing doing this for us. So it's part of our outreach program to raise awareness about embryo donation and to help other families to learn more about, from your own experience, to learn about this process so they know what to expect and they have realistic expectations about the timeline and everything. Wonderful. So, do you want to start just telling us your names and where you're from? And I don't know if we here will be including that in the video just for us to kind of have a name with the
Yeah, no, just as much information as we have, and when you say something, it's like, "Hi, my name is," always kind of do it like and sort of like no, the person watching doesn't have a clue. So I
Okay.
always put it like if somebody said, "Well, where you from?" I would say New York, and then it would be like, "No, don't say it that way." It'd be like, "Yes, I live in New York." You see what I mean? You just put in
Yep.
that little piece so it makes sense if somebody hasn't heard the question. That's all. And
Okay.
anything else, don't worry about it because I'll just deal with it later. So
Well, we are Wally and Maggie Belat, and this is our daughter, Mary Jane. We live in Northwest Indiana, and she is almost 2 months old.
Oh, how wonderful. So, would you like to share with us how long you struggled with infertility? What treatments did you do? And what was the physical and emotional toll it took on you and your family? Do
Sure,
you
we
remember those times? Yep.
we met in the spring of 2015 and then got married the next 16. And then we got married in the fall of 2017. We knew we wanted a family, so we started trying right away. But unfortunately, we're not able to conceive. And so we started seeing a specialist at a fertility clinic in our area. And after going through testing, he recommended that we use IVF as a way to conceive based on some of the issues that we had as a couple. And so we ended up doing 3 rounds of IVF over about 3 years. Um, we were able to do one embryo transfer from those cycles, but unfortunately, um, that ended in a miscarriage. And so it was just a long time of a lot of struggles. It was very emotionally difficult to get to watch our family and friends move on with having families and be successful with conceiving. And our desire for a family never changed. And so we started looking at alternate ways that we could have a family. We looked into traditional adoption, and just with the expense and the time constraints, wasn't sure if that was the right move for us. And through one of the support groups that I was in, learned about the possibility of embryo adoption. And so that was very interesting to us, just that we could still adopt children, but that the process would be completed kind of earlier on and that I could still have a chance to be pregnant. And that was something that was very exciting to me, to be able to carry our child. And so we just started researching different agencies that would help facilitate that. And after looking through a few different websites and talking to the people that work with those agencies, felt like Embryo Solutions kind of was the best fit and match for our values and what was important to us. And obviously, we're very thrilled with the outcome. We were able to adopt 4 embryos, and our first transfer was successful, which was amazing. And we're just so thankful that this all worked out and was an option that we didn't know existed when we first started trying to have a family. So we just, despite how long it took and how difficult it was, are just so grateful that we never gave up because we get to be here now
with her.
with her.
With her.
Oh, so wonderful. Uh, um, where exactly did you learn about embryo donation? Did your fertility clinic, someone in the fertility clinic mention that to you, a healthcare professional, or how did
No,
you?
our doctor had mentioned egg donation and sperm donation, and those never felt right to us to have one of our biologies, but not the others. For some reason, that just wasn't the right fit for us. And so it was actually through a woman I met in a support group. They had done embryo adoption. And so I'd never heard of that and brought it up to Wally, and he'd never heard of it. So we just researched it a little bit online ourselves and found some different agencies and organizations. So, yeah, and then our clinic, when we brought it up to them, said that they would obviously help. They did not facilitate any adoptions or embryo donations, but that once we have them, they'd be happy to help us facilitate a transfer. So, we worked with all of you on the legal end of things of getting the paperwork and the family and the embryos and all that sort of stuff. But then, yeah, our clinic was happy to facilitate the transfer. Right.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Oh, wait, hang on, Elena, you're muted.
Sorry. I'm going back and forth. My printer is loud, so I'm trying to cut out that noise. Could you briefly describe the donation process you went through, the families, then onboarding, the family selection, the donor family selection, sort of to help our prospective recipient family to understand sort of what to expect in terms of the process?
You wanna talk about it?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. It took a little bit, maybe a little bit more time than we thought it would at some points, but just when it started getting to the back and forth, but just from what we understand, it would take for like a traditional adoption, and that we have to fill out a bunch of information about ourselves and our family histories and what we're looking for and what we visualize and hope our family will look like in the future. And then once we start getting potential matches from you guys to look through and find a set of embryos that would mesh with us, hopefully. And so I don't, there wasn't a whole lot of back and forth. We tried to keep our options as wide as possible, and
Yeah, we appreciated that we could make choices or be as selective as we wanted. And it was just explained that the more selective you are, the harder it can be to find a match. But that wasn't discouraged. It was just making sure we knew if things like ethnicity or medical background, if there were any things that were really important to us, we could absolutely request that. It just might take a little longer. We personally felt like we were open to a lot of things. We obviously were fine with our genetic makeup, and we have a variety of medical things in our family's histories that we weren't looking to avoid. So we weren't as concerned, but we appreciated that that was an option. So the most important thing to us was finding a match that had embryos that had been genetically tested. We're older. We don't have as much time to do multiple transfers if things weren't successful. So we felt that was our best option. And yeah, we saw 3 different profiles
Yeah.
of different families that we got a chance to look through. And the third one was definitely what we felt most comfortable with. And after looking at us, they felt the same way. So that part went, yeah, pretty smoothly once we got some families to look at
Mhm.
some of their profiles.
Do you remember what you liked about your donor family, the donor family that you chose?
I think there were a lot of similarities just as far as kind of some of their interests. I mean, truthfully, we're just so grateful that there are families who are willing to do this at all. We think that their willingness says just a lot about who they are as people without needing to read much more of specific hobbies. I know it takes a lot to go through IVF and to get embryos and to build a family, and then to find people who, after doing all of that, are willing to share that with others, I think speaks louder to their character than anything you could put in a written application. So, but yeah, they seemed obviously very happy and healthy. So we appreciated all of that. And I don't remember anything specifically that stood out.
I don't remember about the first two. I mean, we saw from this one, she has a brother out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think there were 2 other
Yeah, another family got 2 of their embryos, and then we got
embryos
4.
adopted out, but
So it'll be,
So we got to see kind of a preview of maybe what
yeah, they included
she looked
pictures,
like
which
as-
we appreciated, so we could see what they looked like and what their child looks like. So that was fun just to have a little, yeah, little heads up of what might be coming. But no, we just, yeah.
I'll actually update you. The other family who received two embryos were not successful. So
Oh,
they
I'm so
missed
sorry to hear
out
that.
from those two embryos. So if you're just wondering how many siblings there will be out
Yeah.
there, so it's only you have the remaining. So there's a boy, there's a child in the
Mhm.
donor family, and you have the rest, the remaining embryos. So it will be just your family and their family. If you are you planning to use more to go
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
baby number two, what the plan is?
Yeah, so our doctor said we have to wait at least a year to try again. So next summer is our plan to try another transfer, and hopefully we get lucky again and another one works. But yeah, we have 3 left. So we feel really lucky that the first one worked, and we definitely want to try for more children.
Wonderful. Do you know?
Do you know the sex of the embryos that you have remaining? What are, would you mind sharing?
No, so there's 2 girls and 1 boy left.
What made you decide to implant the girl first?
We didn't. We just told our doctor to pick whichever one they thought looked best.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you.
well, there kind of something that Maggie said all along. It's hard keeping secrets when you're going through IVF and when you're and so we've kept our family up to date with, oh, we're going in for this now, and then 2 weeks later you got to share, oh, it didn't work, or 2 months later it didn't work, or whatever. And this was kind of one thing where, because they asked us if we had a preference, what gender we wanted for our for the transfer, and first of all, we didn't. If
Yeah.
our plan, if we conceive naturally or via IVF or whatever, would be to not find out until the baby was born. We weren't going to have gender be a determining factor in whether we used an embryo or not, or which one we, whatever. So we knew the odds. We had three female and 1 male embryos. We knew the odds would be a girl, but we didn't know for sure until she popped out 8
Well, and
weeks ago.
it was sweet.
Oh,
I ended up
really?
having
You
to have a
didn't even
C-section.
know until you
No.
delivered?
No, we
No, we
didn't
didn't
know.
find out the gender till she was born. And it was sweet. I ended up having to have a C-section. And so Wally couldn't cut the cord, which he'd wanted to, but they did let him peek over the curtain. So he got to announce to all of us that it was a girl. So that was really special.
Oh, it's so beautiful, so wonderful. It's a great story. Wonderful. So, can you just tell a little bit to our prospective families? So you mentioned you received 4 embryos. Did you have to travel to the clinic, or were the embryos shipped to the clinic of your choice?
No, so we felt comfortable with either doing closed or semi-closed. And so that was what the other family was agreeable to as well. So because of that, we did not know the location of the embryos or anything about the family or their names, obviously. So the agency helped to facilitate all of the physical moving of them from wherever they were to our doctor's office so that we could do our transfer. So we had to sign a bunch of paperwork, but we never had to be physically involved with picking them up or moving them. That was all handled for us by the agency.
Wonderful. So, can you describe your pregnancy and delivery? You already mentioned that you delivered through via C-section. Can you just say a few words about FET,
I feel
how you prepared for your FET, your first test, pregnancy test, the ultrasound, and the pregnancy experience?
So we had switched doctors for this transfer. So this was the first time actually we did a transfer where Wally was there. Our other clinic, it was like a surgical setup, so it was sterile, so fathers weren't in the room. So it was special that Wally got to be there for the transfer. And then it was right around Thanksgiving. So we actually went the day after Thanksgiving for the blood test. We opted not to do any tests at home ahead of time. So we figured we would just wait for their 100% blood test results. And so we knew the phone call would be coming that afternoon, the day after Thanksgiving. And we got the call and stepped outside. We were with some family ice skating. And so his sister-in-law knew we were either going to get a very good phone call or a very upsetting phone call. So we stepped outside and it was the great phone call that I was pregnant. And so far everything looked good. I had to obviously go back a few more times for continuing blood work, but my numbers kept going up. So it was very exciting. And then we got to go for an ultrasound to make sure that she was really in there. And we got to see the little sac. And then a week or two later, we got to see her little heartbeat, which was just amazing. And then we officially graduated from our fertility clinic. So that was right before Christmas. And then, so we felt comfortable getting to tell all of our extended family and friends around the holidays that we were pregnant and the baby was coming in the summer. So that was really special just to finally put that on a Christmas card and have good, happy news to share with everybody. And so it was a very, very Merry Christmas and very happy holiday season this year. I was very fortunate. I had a wonderful pregnancy. I didn't have any issues with being sick or overly tired.
You did really well.
I was really lucky. So I just felt great the whole time and just very grateful that that was an experience I didn't know I get to have. So just grateful that I got to be pregnant and stay pregnant. And then she ended up coming about a week early and she was a little stubborn coming out, but we got her in the end. So, and it's just been wonderful to be home together, the three of us. I'm a teacher. I'm taking this year off from school to be home with her. And Wally's got 12 weeks of paternity leave. So he's home still a few more weeks, which has been wonderful just to be in this little family bubble of the three of us. So she's just
Here we are.
wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful.
I bet you feel like you constantly have to pinch yourself that this is real and that nobody's going to wake
Sure.
you up from this dream and say to you, you were only dreaming.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
such an amazing feeling that you finally reached this very, very difficult journey to
Yeah.
get to that end prize, and it's so worth it.
I'm sure all new parents have some of that just surreal feeling of, oh my gosh, there's a baby in our house and they're staying there.
It's coming to pick her up.
But it's just amazing that, yeah, it really finally happened and it worked and she's healthy and she's so beautiful. We can't believe how blessed we are that we get to be her parents and that she's here with us. And we just obviously love her so much. And it's very surreal that she's really finally here.
This is why it's so important to never give up. Never give up hope, because sometimes a door will open up that you never expected.
Absolutely. This was not 7 years ago what we thought it would look like to become parents. We both have just said so many times, especially in the last couple months, we're just so glad we never gave up. Because we talked about that, what should we do? Should we keep going? Should we try this? Should we try that? Is this a sign that we're supposed to be done? And at different times, both of us just encourage the other to let's keep trying or let's take a break, but we don't feel done. We didn't feel done. And we're just so glad because we weren't done because she wasn't here yet. And
Far from done.
seeing her, it was always supposed to be her.
I've always said, no matter what your route is, the soul that's meant to travel this life with you will find you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be patient and keep all the available doors open for them
Yeah.
to come through. So happy for you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I have tears in my eyes too. Oh, this is such a beautiful story. Oh. What about the type of donation? Can you remind us what type of donation you chose? Do you have any relationship with the donor family and why you chose that type of donation? Why you felt comfortable with that particular type of donation?
So we have, what is this one? This one's semi-closed that we
Semi-closed,
have?
yeah.
So between the three options of a totally open agreement or adoption and a semi-closed and closed, we did not feel comfortable having an open adoption where there's just free information
Yeah.
transfer between I don't think we were really worried about anyone. Oh, well, I want to tell you how to raise my child or whatever. But, I mean, just some sense of, well, no, she's ours and this is ours and we're going to do it. And we're happy to share some things with you and give you some updates, like I don't know what, a long lost college friend or whatever, but you don't need to be involved every day in the day-to-day decisions and things that she's doing in her life and what we're doing in our lives. And so we felt most comfortable either being totally closed off and, or sending updates via the agency to the donor family to let them know how their embryo is coming along and how the child is doing.
I think that's part of the matching process too, that's obviously one of the things that is asked for both families of what you feel comfortable with. If there was a donor family who open adoption was important to, I mean, we respect that. It's a huge decision and thing that they are doing. And so if that's what makes them feel comfortable moving forward, we understand that wasn't what we felt comfortable with. But we also acknowledge that they're going to want some information and they can have a right to that. But we just felt kind of to protect everyone's hearts and futures for now, to keep names out of it and to kind of use the intermediary of the agency to communicate things so that as she gets older and their child gets older, we know with things like 23andMe and the internet, it's unlikely that there'll never be paths crossing, but just to give everyone time to figure out how they want that to look. And obviously to give the kids as much agency and choice in that as possible. I hadn't even been out of the C-section operating room yet. And Wally was sitting with her in recovery and already told her she's adopted. So we promised from the jump, we told her the truth. And
Got that out of the way.
And our families know, we knew that was important, that's going to be a part of her story, for her to know that she's adopted. And we got even some of the children's books that you recommended about how to describe that to her and other children. But yeah, we want her to be able to have some of those choices as well of what part of her life is shared and not. So we don't have any personal relationship with the donor family, but are happy to send updates through you every year or so, kind of as she hits different milestones and ages, so they can see if they're interested. And I know too that in time that might change for them. They might hear she's here, she's healthy, she's a year old, and be like, okay, we're ready to move on as well. So we also want to be able to respect that if they choose to stop getting updates for their own family's sake, that we would respect that as well.
Wonderful. Maggie and Wally, what do you wish you knew when you started embryo donation journey? Were there surprises? What you wish you maybe knew more or better?
I think I wish we hadn't waited as long to pursue other options. It was very hard to acknowledge IVF wasn't working and to decide if we should pursue that again. How many times should we have, but I think I would just encourage anyone who's considering this to not be afraid. I think that fear can be such a big driver when you're making such emotional decisions and when you've been through a lot of pain and heartache. There's just obviously fear that there's going to be more of that. And there obviously wasn't zero. The whole process from when we first reached out to you via email to when she was born took longer than we anticipated, which was difficult. And there was some times where we were waiting on them to sign paperwork, and obviously you're afraid they're not going to, and is this going to fall through, but just, I think I would just encourage people to not be afraid, that this is a really incredible gift that people are truly willing to give, and that you can accept it and accept that something good can finally start to happen, that there can be a positive turn in your family building journey, because there's a reason that this exists. And it's incredible to think that we might not have met her. If we had not acted when we did and met the family that we did, it's just incredible to think that she was always there waiting for us.
Mm.
And we just had to go get her.
I remember when I saw pictures of the donor's son, and he had this beautiful blonde curly hair.
Yeah.
In my mind, I saw your beautiful and they look like your cousins. They
Yeah.
look such a good in terms of physical resemblance.
Yeah. Yeah.
From my perspective, seemed like such a great match. It's like, oh, this could be your son.
Well, we've already had a couple of people who didn't know we adopted. They're like, oh, does she look more like mom or dad? And we're like, that's
Not this mom and dad, but yes, not mom and dad.
someone's mom and dad. And
You will be surprised when I receive photos of newborns. Sometimes I see in the newborns the donors a little bit, but
Mhm.
at 6 months, at 9 months, they look
Mm.
like their intended parents, like their parents giving birth, like, because they start smiling like you, and the
Yeah.
mimics and everything's gonna be like I'm sure she's gonna look like both of you. Absolutely.
Well, and that was just a really special aspect of the embryo adoption as well, was just the chance to be pregnant. And not having to give that up. Obviously, we'd given up a lot over the years of fertility treatments and miscarriages and loss. We'd just given up a lot. And to realize that there was a way we could have a baby and that I could still experience being pregnant was just a really special kind of unexpected gift as well. We didn't think at that point in the road that that was going to happen. So that was nice.
Well, how was your pregnancy experience?
it, the sleep worked okay, and it's kind of sore back and now and then, but no, it was really good. She was a great pregnant woman. She had there were our OB visits were 5 minutes. It's like, how you feeling? Great. No baby yet? Okay, see you in 2 weeks or see you in a month or whatever it was. There were no problems ever. Um, because we're older and maybe also because it was a transfer situation, um, they made us go for the real high tech ultrasounds,
Yeah.
not just the one in the OB office, but with the whole.
Maternal fetal medicine.
Yeah.
The high risk. Yeah.
So from what, 20 weeks on, we were going pretty regularly, and so we got to see her develop more than just in the 2D world of the in-office ultrasound, but we got to, and they're like, oh, she weighs this much and she's this long and her femur is this long and what, all the things they measure, head diameter, this, that, and the other thing that, we got a more intimate view of how she was coming along, just because of these risk factors we had from being older and from having recurrent loss in the past and having a transferred embryo. So that was, I mean, thankfully everything was great all the time, and we didn't have to navigate any additional challenges once we were pregnant. It was just
Yeah.
the hardship was getting pregnant, but once we were there, it was easy for me to say. It was smooth sailing.
No, it really was. Yeah.
For the duration of the pregnancy.
Wonderful. Did Maggie had any strange cravings? Did she send you to McDonald's at midnight for French fries or hamburgers?
No, nothing too strange. Maybe just more craving. We like to eat, and we like snacks, and we like ice cream, and we like all those things, and so
It was more just
maybe
giving myself,
it was-
it's all the things I normally want to eat. I just gave myself permission to finally do it. So there were a lot of donuts,
blizzards, Dairy Queen
Yeah,
blizzards,
ice
and
cream. Being pregnant in the summer, I needed a lot of ice cream,
So wonderful.
yeah, but there wasn't anything
Nothing too crazy. No.
Worcestershire sauce and pickle milkshake, or I don't
No,
know
nothing
what.
like
Nothing-
that.
it was too weird. So
Well, I'm so glad to hear that the pregnancy went smoothly and
it
you
went really
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's terrific. How many more kids do you plan to have? You have 3 more embryos, so you mentioned that you definitely want to try for baby number 2. If you hopefully next transfer also results in a pregnancy and live birth. Have you given a thought what you're going to do with the remaining 2 embryos?
I think we'll have to just see what our doctor thinks at that point, what we feel. I mean, we always talk about having a bigger family. I think at this point, our biggest concern is just our age. And if it makes sense to keep having children, or if our doctor thinks it's safe for me to keep having children. So I think we're just gonna have to wait and see how it all shakes out and how quickly again we're able to get pregnant and what our doctor would recommend from there on out. But we were looking to find a match. We were hoping to find a family of 3 or 4 in the hopes it would let us have 1 or 2 children. So what a great problem to have that we get our 1 or 2 children and still have extra embryos. So yeah, I think we would just lean on our doctor for advice on if they think that I can have more pregnancies or if we feel at our age it makes sense to keep having kids, but we don't have that answer yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wonderful. Oh, she's absolutely adorable. She was sleeping
Thank
through the whole
you.
interview, so cozy in mommy's
I
arms.
know, she's so good. Right here, you show everyone how cute you are.
Look at that.
Oh, I love your outfit. I love your
You're so
outfit.
pretty.
He's so pretty.
Oh, big
Can you sit up?
girl, big girl.
There we go.
Mm,
Oh,
wonderful. Well,
okay.
thank you so much for meeting with us, and it's such a joy seeing 3 of you, your family grow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Obviously you've completely changed our lives and given us just our dream come true. We're just so thankful to everyone involved who allowed this to happen for us. It's been also exciting to, as we tell our story to just people that we meet here, whether it was through everyone at our doctor's office and nurses, through our friends and family, just to also let them know that this is an option that exists. And
Yeah.
maybe someone hears a story of somebody, and that could be us, that, to let them know that there's lots of
That was
ways.
such a cute yawn. Oh,
Yeah, it's important to keep telling your story because you never know, you might change someone's life because you shared your journey.
Yeah. That's how we found this, was someone just telling their story and being willing and brave enough to say, we went through this and this is how it ended for us. And that was the spark of conversation that brought us here. So if we can ever be that for somebody else, just to say, don't give up, to say these are other options, to say it's worth it. We definitely want to share the good news.
I've been kind of surprised. I mean, especially like once we were getting to the point where it's very close that she's going to be born and more visits to the hospital and whatnot. I mean, not to bust on them or anything, but even some of the nurses, like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing, or, oh, I had
Yeah.
heard of that, but we've never had a patient who had done that. And I mean, I think of all the doctors that we saw, all of them seemed pretty.
After we left our
No
fertility
one-
clinic, yeah.
No one was like, none of the doctors were really surprised by that, but a handful of the nurses were, and
Yeah.
I mean, just from being there over days and seeing how many shift changes and how many different nurses coming in to check on you, we saw our fair share there over a couple of days. And, I mean, we not bashful about sharing any of this, but, yeah, a couple of them saying, "Oh, I'd never heard of that," and a couple others saying, "Oh, I've heard of that, but we've never seen it happen or whatever." So
Yeah.
that
You
was
shouldn't, you
nice
shouldn't
too.
be surprised about that because honestly, very few professional, even adoption social workers, very few know about this. That when I
Yeah.
share this information with my colleagues, they're shocked.
Mhm.
They're like, and I think to myself, like, what rock are you under that you don't even know this stuff exists? But I mean, it's such an answer. It's like the missing link to some stories that would change everything.
Yeah.
And the fact that even in the professional level, people don't know about this to spread this information is shocking to me. So I bring it up every single case I possibly can, anywhere I go. I'm constantly talking about it because by doing so, like we said before, one person might turn around and go, "Oh my God, I never heard of that. You know what? I'm going to look into that more."
Yeah.
So it's very important. And the more you share that information, the better everybody's situation can be. So you guys are fabulous and you are a beautiful family. And it was
Thank you.
such
Thank
an
you very
honor
much.
to be part of this journey in a small, tiny little way. And I'm so happy to have met you guys and wish you the very best. And
Thank you.
Thank
I
you very
look forward
much.
to hearing about when you're ready to do it again.
Yeah, she was born July 26th, so July 27th, we'll be in there.
We
and
we
please,
joked
Optimism.
we joked that the first phone call we were going to make was to our clinic to schedule next year's transfer, and
We called the grandparents.
we called grandma and
first.
grandpa first. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, and please share your photos with us just for our staff to see. We love receiving photos and just sharing and talking about how babies look like, their parents and how adorable they are and everything. So if you have a few minutes, and I'm sure you're gonna have thousands of photos, so think
That is
about
not a problem. We have thousands.
Lots of photos.
Yeah.
share with us. Oh, wonderful. Well, have a great day, and
You,
I
you
hope
too.
we'll
It was
stay in
great
Thank
to
touch.
see you.
you.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
You're really well spoken. Everything sounded great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, little one.
All right, Elena, I would like you to do a couple of things. I'd like you to just stare at the camera and shake your head like you were listening intently, with a smile, without a smile, trying to respond to, there you go. Kind of, so then I could cut away to you because I think you're going to be part of the question and answer thing because it seems to work so naturally, I mean, these things evolve themselves, but good.
It's our first attempt, so
Yeah, no, and it evolves itself always, you know what I mean? And I kind of liked what I saw. I mean, trim out some stuff, use the questions and answers. I mean, even if you wanted to actually, when you read the questions, you were looking down at the paper. If you want to just look at the camera and read the questions, just read each question for me singularly, and then I'm done. Because then
they
I'll have.
also
In case I want to replace one with, with a shot where,
okay. Sure. Yeah, I should have better prepared.
No.
Wasn't my own questions.
It's a total learning process for everything and everybody, So, I mean, every shoot is. Everything you do, it's always you're finding new and interesting things. So, but yeah, if you just read them, we might not use them at all, but maybe one you're looking down or gets muffled or something, and if you look around, I use that instead. So,
What was good about them, I thought, I mean, I'm not the editor, but what I thought was that a lot of those questions actually got answered by them before they were formally asked those questions in just the conversation.
oh yeah, no, they were real good.
It makes it flow so easily because then it feels like a natural, you were just having a conversation. They were both, I was so surprised at how well they came across, and the emotion that they emitted was just fabulous. I mean, they
Yeah,
had
no, they were
cried
good.
several times. They were just they were great. They were a great first
Very
couple.
natural. Yeah, very,
Yes,
and
the
she
sound-
even touched her eye at some point, so she got a little,
You
tear.
could feel their emotion.
You can see from her personality, she's probably, type A, not crying too much, as I am. I'm like, 3 words of them, weeping.
were-
But even for her, she kind of softened up and, said it.
No,
They
she was
relaxed.
good. They're well spoken. I mean, it's everything you'd want about this is right there. I mean, it's just a matter of whittling it down to get it to time.
Right.
Yeah,
I
so
also
this-
sent a question in advance, so I think she prepared. She thought about what to say, so she didn't hear those questions for the first time when I was reading.
And I like the way they frame themselves, with the baby and the two of them so close like that. It was very, it's just going to be very engaging for somebody when they're watching it because you get, in a Zoom meeting, you always wander off and start looking at the things in the background, and it's like, you got a baby. What more are you going to look at? People in this environment, they're going to look at the baby. So,
That might be really important that when you tell people then they're setting up their shot, that they should do it at a time when they know the baby will be awake or at least able to sit in on it, because I think having the end product on your lap the whole time is perfect. It's a perfect selling point. You know what I mean?
And the way she interacted, like she touched the cheek and, just
Yeah,
like
it was
the
nice.
mother, daughter, those emotions.
No, you can feel it. It all came through. It all came through all the vibes, which is everything because, the whole thing about any performance is the vibe because it comes right through the screen and hits people, I mean, you can say what you want to, you can read it off the prompter and when somebody's faking it. But when that shit's from the heart, boom,
Absolutely.
it's magic. It's magic.
Hey, can we leave Judy in? Because I love Judy's questions too.
Sure, I'll have her do a couple of cutaways too. So, okay. Well, that's what they're called. Like for you, what I need you to do is just to read your questions. I got your kind of response, because we always, that's what always happens. The Walter Cronkite thing, because they just shoot the whole other person talking, and then after the thing's all done, that's when the announcer does the reaction shots, you see, and then the editor puts it together, and it's kind of what we did because, Like right now, I could use your shots listening to me. I could use that as a cutaway because that's real good material.
Well, here, I have a little bit different emotional response to you than to this family.
Well, no, it's
yeah,
true.
I understand
Most of the stuff that was just there is perfect on the hoof, you know. But
Let me read the question.
read the questions. Yep.
Please tell us your name and where are you from? Could you share how long you struggled with infertility? What treatments did you do, and what was the physical and emotional toll it took on you and your family? Can you share how you first learned about embryo donation and why did it appeal to you? Could you could you briefly describe the donation process you went through prior to receiving the embryos? How many embryos did you receive? Did you have to travel to a clinic where the embryos shipped to the clinic of your choice? How did you prepare for FET? Do you remember the day you received the pregnancy test, the result, the first ultrasound, the heartbeat? Can you describe how your pregnancy and delivery went?
Could you repeat that one, please? I had an interruption, internet interruption.
Can you describe how your pregnancy and delivery went? What is your experience as new parents been like for you? Could you remind us what type of donation you chose, open, semi-open, closed, and why? Are you planning to use remaining embryos? If so, what time frame do you feel is the best for planning your next transfer? If not, what are your plans regarding the remaining embryos? Well, they kind of didn't answer that question. So just like how many embryos did you use? Are you planning to use you still have 3 embryos left? Are you planning to use them?
See, there you go. Because now you're thinking back to the interview and you're saying, what did they answer that it would be a good question to add? There you go.
What do you wish you knew when you started embryo donation journey? What would you advise or share with other families who are considering this route to parenthood?
All good.
They're natural.
Oh no, yeah, it's like you're totally right. It's so scripted, it's so different that versus when you have a conversation. I think we
Oh,
should
yeah.
have a conversation because it's just I should just learn these questions or just have them here. So just like glance and not like put my head down.
Yeah, well, you know what, Sue, I think, like you said, I think the conversation is more important, but if, let's say, a word got muffled, now I can pick up the words and just put them in your mouth, because I do that all the time, too. If one word's not understandable, I can just pick a word up from a different phrase and just pop it right in there.
Watching him do this process is fascinating. It's almost like if you want to put it in a visual way, it's like he knitted a blanket together and he noticed a few lines down, he missed a couple of stitches. And instead of ripping out all those parts down to where he missed and starting over, what he can do is take 2 stitches from somewhere else, remove those 2 bad stitches, put in the 2 new stitches, and it looks perfect.
Wow.
And I've watched him do it with half a word, with a syllable, it's mind-boggling how he could take something that's so awful sometimes and pull out
Thank you.
different spaces
Oh, no, you have
and
no
make it
idea.
fabulous. I mean, he did that with some of my videos where I would say something like, and I didn't even realize I was saying, and the next thing I knew was he said to me, you said 12 ums. I took them all out. And look at how well it works in.
See, one of the things I can do is when I make an edit, in many cases, there's this thing called time flow. And basically, when I do the edit, you know how normally a person, you'd see their jump, because their head is here, and then it goes like that, so you know when the edit's made. With my system, I can heal those so you can't tell that the edit was ever made. So in lots of cases, I can take out words or sentences and, so when you're listening to this, it's like, well, I like that, but they said this sentence. You just let me know, and we'll just take that sentence out, put it together, you'll never know they didn't say it, So that's the sort of control we have once we get going.
That's wonderful. Oh, wonderful.
This will be worthy of an Emmy.
Oh, you're crazy.
Absolutely. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, great. So, would you have any suggestions, Harry, how to do besides me learning not looking down, learning the questions for the next time with the next family?
Dude, I thought this was fabulous. I think it was beyond my expectations. I mean, we got so much stuff. We got a half hour's worth of good stuff. The problem is going to be trying to keep this video under 15 minutes.
Well, we can, we can do more than 15. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, but nobody's going to watch. It's going to be, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what they're watching it for. But you know what? The more I can take everything they say and condense it down, the people aren't going to be able to take their eyes off it. And that's what we want. We want them just to be like this for 5 or 10 minutes, you know? So, it's like that. If we have too much good stuff, then it's going to get longer. But everything that's not perfect we'll take out. That's all. So, but it's good. I mean, I love them. I think, wow, they were a good couple to get started with. What energy. They were
They
very
were
good.
very comfortable in front of the camera, too.
Yeah.
They weren't self-conscious at all.
Mhm.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
All right, I'm going to stop recording now. So.